Hello, welcome to the program. Today, I am Amarachi Ubani in Lagos. We begin in South Sudan, where 56 people have been killed during 4 days of fighting in the eastern region of the country. Clashes occurred from the Nuer community after the youths attacked another ethnic group, with local officials citing most casualties from the Nuer community. The territory of South Sudan, which gained independence from Sudan in 2011, has been plagued by blood feuds and clashes over cattle and land for decades. A government official in the Greater Pibor administrative area, Abraham Kelang, says armed Nuer youth began attacking the Merle community on December 24 in Gomorok County and Lukagole County. Keleng says the government is managing to help the communities, but the fighting is still ongoing. He adds that 51 of those killed were Nuer attackers, while the remaining 5 were merely defenders. Last week, the United Nations peacekeeping mission said armed Nuer youth were being mobilized ahead of a potential raid against the Merle. UNMISS further stated it was monitoring the escalation of tensions and violence and had intensified patrols in and around affected areas. Politics in South Africa, as President Cyril Ramaphosa files papers in the Gauteng High Court for an urgent application to interdict former President Jacob Zuma from taking any further steps to give effect to his private prosecution bid against the president. The president is also seeking the court to excuse him from appearing before the court on January 19th, as directed by the summons. The National Prosecuting Authority previously clarified the certificates of non-prosecution that they issued to former Presidents Jacob Zuma and his legal team were not in relation to Ramaphosa. Zuma launched a private prosecution bid against Ramaphosa for allegedly contravening the National Prosecuting Authority on the disclosure of his medical records by prosecutor Billy Downer and journalist Karen Morgan. Ramaphosa's legal team demanded a withdrawal from Zuma's legal team, but the former president remains unflinching in his stance on the matter. Meanwhile, the African National Congress's President Cyril Ramaphosa's and National Chairperson Gwede Mtashe and Treasurer General candidate Bejani Chauka have been accused of vote buying during the 55th National Conference of the ANC earlier this month. One member from KwaZulu-Natal wrote a scathing letter to the ANC electoral chairperson, Kaglima Motlanthe, accusing the incumbent leadership of buying votes at the 55th annual conference. Moleshe adds that the outcome of the conference could have been different if vote buying did not take place at the conference. Well, that scathing letter directed to Kaglima Motlanthe points out how Ramaphosa, Mtashe and Choka bought votes at the ANC 55th National Conference. Both Fikile Mbalula, Secretary General of the ANC, and Motlanthe are yet to confirm receipt of this letter dated December 26. Ramaphosa defeated Health Minister Zweli Mkhize with 2,476 votes against 1,897. We're still in South Africa. Now, the case against the 32-year-old driver of a truck which exploded on Christmas Eve has been dropped, according to the police. This is due to insufficient evidence, it says. News had not gone down well with the families of the victims, especially now that the death toll has risen to 26. The accused, who was supposed to make his first court appearance today at Boksburg Magistrate Court, was not brought in because he had been released. The truck driver was traveling from Durban to Botswana when he drove under the low-lying bridge and got stuck in there, and the truck exploded. 9 hospital staff were at the scene to help among those who were among those succumbed to the injuries. 2 people are still missing and others still in hospital. One family lost at least 5 of their children in the explosion.
South African trade unions gathered outside the Boksburg Magistrate Court, saying the police need to be held accountable for the release of the truck driver who caused an explosion which not only took the lives of civilians but also health workers at the nearby Tambo Memorial Hospital, which is currently not taking in new patients.
We also have to deal with the reality that is facing us now. The Commissioner of Police needs to be held accountable. You can't have police that would have failed to do their job. claiming that there is no evidence, while evidence is everywhere else. There's people who were in the scene on that day who would have witnessed, who spoken to the driver, which the driver confided in them. And those people were not at least being given a hearing by SAPS through their investigation. So for us, this is really something that is uncalled for. SAPS is equally to be blamed. They failed us as workers. They failed the community of Boksburg. In fact, they even failed themselves.
Jan Merakeng, who used to work for the trucking company Infinity Fleet Group, tells us what the driver should have done to try and avoid what happened.
He, as the driver, he was supposed to lower his airbags. If maybe he can even see that the tanker is still hooking in there, he was supposed to deflate his tires so that her tanker can go smooth under that bridge there, than to pull it all the way to the bridge. That's where the tanker make that compression and explode or blast.
Different government officials, including the Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, have visited different families of victims who lost their lives. Overnight, the number of the dead has risen from 18 to 26, and some of the victims are in critical condition. Now that the truck driver has been released, there are more questions than answers. What happens next? What happened to the docket? And what closure will the victims' families receive? From Johannesburg, South Africa, Brian Pogeni, Channels Television News.
We're in Niger now, where a military helicopter crash-landed at an airport in the country's capital, Niamey, killing 3 people on board, including an expatriate instructor. According to a statement from the Defense Ministry, the helicopter was returning from a routine training flight when it crashed on a military runway. A statement adds that the wreckage burst into flames, blocking rescuers from reaching the crew. A commission of inquiry has been set up to determine the cause of the accident. Meanwhile, the Gambia has established an investigative panel following the arrest of alleged coup plotters. According to the country, the panel will have 30 days to report back on last week's coup attempt. A spokesperson indicated the 11-member inquiry group was sworn in and includes members from the Justice Ministry, the Office of National Security, military forces, the police, and intelligence agencies. It comes after the Gambia arrested a captain and lieutenant on the allegations of plans to overthrow President Adama Barrow's government. Mamadou Sabali, the Minister of Presidential Affairs under former leader Yahya Jammeh, has been imprisoned. He appeared in a video in which he allegedly suggested President Barrow would be deposed prior to the upcoming municipal elections. His party, the United Democratic Party, demanded his release immediately. Since 2020, military takeovers in Mali, Guinea, and in Burkina Faso have shaken West Africa. Adama Barrow was elected to a second term in 2021. Well, travelers are joyful and excited as Ethiopian Airlines resumed flights today to the capital of war-torn northern region of Tigray for the first time in about 18 months. The announcement comes a day after a delegation of government officials and heads of public enterprises visited Mekelle to discuss the implementation of last month's peace agreement. That agreement, which included promises to restore services, ended 2 years of fighting between the Ethiopian federal government and allies against the Tigrayan forces. It killed thousands of people and displaced millions others. Ethiopian Airlines CEO Mefsin Teso, who was part of the delegation to Mekelle, said in a statement, resumption of these flights will enable families to reunite, facilitate the restoration of commercial activities, stimulate tourist flow, and bring many more opportunities which will serve the society. A travel agent in Addis Ababa said the first Mekelle-bound flight was fully booked within hours of the announcement. Almost the entire region is now connected to the national power grid, and telecom services have been restored in at least 27 towns there, according to media reports. Now, Angola's Supreme Court has ordered the preventive seizure of assets of Isabel dos Santos. Daughter of former President Eduardo dos Santos is seized in July this year. It's a second seizure of Isabel's assets in Angola since 2019. The court order covers 100% of the shares of the company, of which the defendant is a beneficial owner, as well as the balances of all bank accounts owned or co-owned by the daughter of the former Angolan president. Also included are Isabel dos Santos' shares in mobile networks in Mozambique, Cabo Verde, and Sao Tome and Principe. This includes 70% of the shares of the Mozambican telecommunications company MStar, of which Isabel is the effective beneficiary. According to the Supreme Court, the businesswoman damaged the Angolan state in over €1 billion. In other criminal cases with evidence of embezzlement, influence peddling, economic participation in companies, and money laundering. The decision by the Angolan Supreme Court was based on documents from state oil company Sonangol and mobile phone company Unitel, as well as information provided by Portuguese and Dutch authorities. Welcome back to Network Africa. As many Nigerians gear up for the 2023 general elections, the electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, is continuing the process of handing out permanent voter cards to eligible Nigerians, especially those who've registered. INEC officials in the southern part of the nation say the commission is doing everything it can to ensure that no Nigerian is disenfranchised in the upcoming polls.
In about 59 days, Nigerians will be going to the polls once again for an event that occurs every 4 years. For many Nigerians, hopes are high as the Independent Electoral Commission are working earnestly to ensure that no Nigerian is disenfranchised in the general elections. In Rivers State, INEC's head of voter education and publicity says the commission is aware of some challenges faced in various local government areas.
We have a lot more people to collect their PVCs, and we have deployed personnel from the head office to make the situation very adequate so that we can counter the demand that the supply is not adequate, because we have beefed up the personnel that are going to make the issuance of these PVCs possible. In
Oyo State, more than 700,000 PVCs are yet to be collected, with the deadline for collection extended. The INEC Public Relations Officer in the state says the collection centers will relocate to ward levels by 6th January to make access easier for those willing to get their PVCs.
Again, we are going to devolve the collection to the ward level, starting from the 6th of January to 13th of January next year. We are going to take it to the local government level. But right now, we are having it at the local government level. But we are going to registration area from the 6th of January to 13th of January.
In Delta State, the situation seems no different from other parts of the nation.
I must confess that it's been quite impressive. The turnout has been very huge. And but we've been handling the situation. It's been a very crowded sessions on a daily basis, but the staff have been up and doing, and the work has been going on very well.
In Lagos, the Electoral Commissioner works our crew through the process for collection of permanent voter cards.
So what they did at that company is sorted them out into local government and also to come and each local government to them. So
he then briefs on other important details in the process.
You just come, somebody will attend to you, pick up your slip, walk in here to the issuing desk officer. The desk officer checks if your name is in the register. Once your name is in the register, you take another step further, go and give it to the officer in charge of that particular area where you come from. The officer will now search the PU in that area. Once your PVC is found, he go back to you, call you to come and collect, sign and collect your PVC. Sometimes we check, and when we look at the status, if we don't find your PVC and we help them to check the status, we'll go further and check their status, and once it is, say, multiple registration, we interview them.
For those who showed up, many found the collection process seamless and not as difficult as anticipated.
So I went straight to the office and a lady collected it from my hand. I went to the office and searched it and they bring the voter's card for me. So he didn't collect anything. Nobody bribed anybody to collect his voter's card.
It didn't take me 10 minutes and I picked it up. I encourage everybody to go and pick up his own.
I think the collection process was quite easy compared to the registration process because I just came and they took my slip and they looked for my card and here it is.
At the moment, the exercise is taking place unhindered, and in spite of the inconveniences, people are trooping out in their numbers. The Commission has also reiterated that the beavers will definitely be used to conduct the 2023 election.
And more from Nigeria, this time in Kogi State, as the government intensifies efforts at boosting food production as residents recover from the impact of the 2022 flood disaster. The State Commissioner for Agriculture, David Ape, stated this in Lokoja, the state capital, during the flag-off of the distribution of flood recovery strategy input support to farmers affected by the flood disaster in the state.
It's the flag-off of distribution of flood recovery strategy input support to beneficiaries in Kogi State. The beneficiaries are farmers whose farmlands were affected in the recent flood disaster. Among items to be distributed are fertilizers, rice seeds, herbicides, water pumps, among others. The intervention is coming from the International Fund for Agricultural Development. 261 beneficiaries were profiled from Lokoja, Ibaji, and Ajaokuta local government areas.
Don't sell anything that we're giving you here today. We are going to be monitoring your farms. In fact, in the month of January, if I'm not mistaken, IFAD will be sending a team down to see all your farms.
The flood intervention program is aimed at cushioning the effect of flood, enhance food security, and reduce poverty.
We all know what we went through in the recent time. Kogi State, to the best of my knowledge, is the worst hit state during this flood incident that happened across the country. Please, I want to beg of you, if the IFAD farmers could key into our mitigation training, it will go a long way in helping the farmers, helping the project, and of course, helping the extension agents.
Our presence here is to show that we share in your grief, we share in your losses, we also share in your pathetic situation.
Following the unveiling of the commodities, each of the beneficiaries step up to sign up for their items. The state government is hoping that the farmers can make the most of intervention and get to work.
With these inputs, they will increase their production, food production. By so doing, they will have food security here. And somebody was joking, not only here, we will supply food to other parts of the nation, Abuja inclusive.
The state government is promising to continue to support farmers in the state, especially as they recover from the impact of the 2022 flood disaster.
And as we end the program, buy secondhand, make a difference is the message two vintage lovers are projecting to the world. The duo Prince Quist and James Date brought together a movement of young vintage enthusiasts pushing back against the global fast fashion industry by encouraging their peers to shop and wear used Western clothing. Take a look.
Hours before sunrise, in a courtyard of shipping containers in Ghana's capital, Accra, vintage enthusiasts Quist and Dati comb through Kantamanto's rivers of imported clothes, searching for gems they can resell on Instagram pages with thousands of followers in Ghana and abroad.
We all know recycling helps the environment if we are being truthful. So if you wear a cloth that has been made back in the days, and you are not going to buy a new clothes, but you want to wear something that has been made previously. That way you are helping the environment by not using raw materials, using other things to reproduce new clothes.
The idea of everything right now is just to inspire everybody to shop or thrift vintage. So we are not just saying second-hand goods are second-class stuffs. So we are just trying to inspire people that shopping vintage makes recycling better.
According to the US-based foundation, Ghana receives around 15 million items of used clothing each week from Western countries and China, offloaded in bulk, often at negligible prices and questionable quality. Much of it passes through Accra's Kantamanto, one of the largest garment markets on the continent, where bales of used clothes are sold based on the expected quality of the garments wrapped up inside.
Remove the whole notion of you wear vintage only when you're poor or you wear thrifted stuff when you don't have money, because it's been here for years. It's just buy it and wear it. It's like, why go and produce more when there's more than enough available to you?
The vintage founders believe buying second-hand not only helps to reduce fashion's environmental impact, but also allows them and their customers to express unique styles apart from current trends.
Well, what do you think? That's our show today. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. See you next time.